Good morning, everyone. This is the presentation of Group 2, The Motivation to Work. An introduction to motivation. Motivation concerns the condition responsible for variation in intensity, persistence, quality, and direction of ongoing behavior. The motivation of workers has been a key interest for IO psychologists for 100 years. Latham and his colleagues have reviewed the 100-year history of motivation research in IO psychology. Brief history of motivation theory in IO psychology. The earliest IO theories of motivation were anchored in the notions of instincts principally driven by psychodynamic theories of personality, most notably Freud's approach. Instincts were thought to be inborn tendencies that directed behavior. Of that instinct was inferred from the fact that individual engage. An individual was said to engage in some activities because of an economic instinct, but the existence in work. The term instinct was gradually replaced with terms such as need, motive, and drive. In 1943, Maslow proposed a need theory that replaced an infinite number of instincts with a specific set of needs. Wiener suggests that all motivational theories can be described by one of two metaphors, the person as machine and the person as scientist. Person as machine metaphor that suggests that people's behaviors, actions are reflexive and involuntary and are performed without conscious awareness. Person as scientist metaphor that suggests that people are active information gatherers and analysts who seek knowledge and understanding as a way of mastering their environment. The meaning and importance of motivation in the workplace. Motivation and performance. In Veit's 1953 pioneering book on motivation in the workplace, it was clear that he equated motivation with productivity. He saw motivation as the method by which an employer aroused the corporation of individual workers. This is more kind of formula nila. Performance equals motivation times ability. My situational constraint. Motivation and work-life balance. All of us probably know at least one person we would consider a workaholic, an individual who is addicted to work and pays the cost for the addiction in reduced physical health and mental well-being. Motivation and personality. The results showed that a strong and consistent relationship do exist between personality characteristics and performance motivation. The next reporter.
Classic approach to work motivation, where human beings have wants and desire which influence their behavior. Only unsatisfied needs influence behavior, satisfied needs do not. Since needs are many, they are arranged in order of importance from basic to complex. Person as machine theory. The preceding overview of motivational theories included two primary metaphors, person as machine and a person as a scientist. Person as machine is a people, behaviors or actions are reflexive and involuntary and are performed without conscious. An internal mechanical theory. Maslow's needs theory that propose all humans have basic sets of needs and the needs express themselves over the lifespan of individual as internal pushes or drive. Identify the five basic sets. Number one is psychological needs. Two, security. Three, love or social. Four, steam. And last is self actualization. Number one, psychological needs. These are learning theories generally refers to the basic needs or drives and are satisfied by which things as food, water, and sleep. Second is the security needs. This category refers to the needs of individual as produced a secure environment, one free of threats to continue existence. Number 3. Love or social needs. These needs are associated with interpersonal factors. They refers to an individual desire to be accepted by others. Number 4. Self-esteem need. These needs are associated with being respected for accomplishment or capabilities. 5 is the actualization needs. These needs refers to desire on a part of an individual to develop his or her capacity to the fullest. Next topic is two factors theory. This theory proposed by Hertzberg that suggested that there were really two basic needs, not five as suggested by Maslow, and that they were not so much hierarchically arranged as independent of each other. Hygiene needs. The lower needs described in Hertzberg two factors theory. These propose that meeting needs would eliminate dissatisfaction but do not result in motivate behaviors or states of positive satisfaction. Hygiene needs factors that can be demotivate if not present but do not actually motivate employees to work harder. For example, pay or financial rewards, working condition, appropriate supervision, and policy. Next is the motivator needs. This level is the higher that describe Herbert's the two factors theory proposed that meeting such needs result in the expenditure of effort as well as satisfaction. So motivators needs factors that directly motivate people to work hard. Example is job enrichment, wide variety of tasks, greater complexity and challenge, manage own workload, and greater sense of achievement. Second is power empowerment. More responsibility and other autonomy allows employee to make decisions independently, less supervision, and demonstrate trust. Hertzberg believed that these are the source of motivation. Next is external mechanical theory. So reinforced theory that proposed that behavior depends on three simple elements: stimulus, response, and rewards. Propose that if a response in the presence or of particular stimulus is rewarded, reinforcement, or more specifically, process of an changing behavior by changing consequence that follows. Contingent reward, a reward that depends on or is contingent on a particular response. Intermittent reward, a reward that given for only some correct responses. Continuous reward, a reward that is presented every time correct response occur. Next is person as machine theory. So, person as machine theory, scientist theory is a motivation theory in general and work motivation theory in particular were no exceptions. The key ingredient in this approach was the capacity of individual to both learn from the past and anticipate the future. This allows for the possibility of intentional behavior, planning, goal acceptance, and most importantly, choice. This mechanical theory did not include the concept of choice in any formal way. Fat Goals theory of motivation is the first formal work motivation theory to suggest that people weigh options before choosing them. Um, reason that if a worker saw high productivity as a path to the goal desired or reward of personal goal, for example, pay increase or promotion or increased power, prestige, or responsibility, he or she would like to be higher producer. Next is Vroom's VIE theory. This theory that assumes that individual rationally estimate the relative attractiveness and unattractiveness of different reward or outcomes balanced. The probability of performance will lead to particular outcomes or reward instrumentality, and the probability that efforts will lead to perform expectancy. If manager want to apply Bloom's theory, he or she would concentrate on these three things. Number one, motivate employee by offering outcomes that have high variance. Second is clarify instrumentalities by letting employees know that high performance is associated with positive outcomes. Third is to clarify expectancies by making it clear to employee that hard work will lead to high performance. Next is equity theory. So this theory focuses on determining whether the distribution of resources is fair to both relational partners. Equity is measured by comparing the ratios of contribution and benefits for each person. Next is the dissonance theory. This theory suggested by Festinger that observed tension exists when individuals hold dissonant cognition. Dissonant cognition causes feeling of unease and tension, and people attempts to relieve discomfort in different ways. Example, explaining things away or rejecting new information that conflicts with their existence. Next is inputs. The inputs training, effort, skills, and abilities that employees bring to or invest in their work. Outcomes, the compensation, satisfaction, and other benefits employees derive from their work. Comparison others, a coworker or idealized other person to which the individual compares himself or herself in determining perceived equity. Outcome input or input ratio. Ratio that result when employees compare their inputs and outputs to those of others to determine if they are being treated equal.
The next topic is modern approaches to work motivation. Person has intentional approaches. Motivational approach that assumes that individuals are intentional in their behavior. It occurs when a person consciously or unconsciously tries to bring out a particular consequence. Goal setting theory. Goal setting theory was proposed by Locke and his colleagues, in which the general concepts of the goal is adapted to work motivation. Goal setting theory has endured and evolved into a mature and comprehensive approach to work motivation. This theory is based on the idea that setting specific and measurable goals is more effective than setting unclear goals, like, for example, improving the organizational development within a company by increasing employee trust and motivation, the sharing of company goals, creating culture of support, and encouraging employee growth. Next slide, please. So this is the diagram of goal theory. So most of study shows that specific difficult goals lead higher levels of performance. A person who set difficult goals perform better than a person who set easy goals. So Weiss and Fraud 2005 demonstrate that goal difficult is a critical ingredient to both performance and satisfaction. So this model makes a distinction between goal acceptance and goal commitment. Goal acceptance implies that goal has been assigned, while goal commitment is broader and can include not only assigned goals but self goals as well. When individuals free to revise, assign, and accepted goals, they can become self-set goals, thereby transforming what was acceptance into commitment. Next slide. Next pa. So another important factor is a feedback loop. Feedback loop is connected between knowledge of results and the intermediate states that occur between goal commitment and performance. This feedback connection makes the theory much more dynamic by showing that as the individual evaluates his or her performance, intermediate states may be changed. It is also associated with what has come to be known as control theory. Control theories assume that an individual compares a standard to an actual outcome and adjusts behavior to bring the outcome into an agreement with the standard. So Michelle and colleagues 2000 identified a number of practical issues that needs to be addressed, such as should goals be related to quantity or quality of performance? Should goals be related to process to outcome? How should goals be set? How difficult is a difficult goal? Should rewards be contingent on goal accomplishment? When should individual goals be used and when should group goals be used? Next next slide. Next pa. Challenges for goal setting theory. Goals should be sufficiently challenging. This will keep the employee engaged and focused while performing the tasks needed to reach each goal. The changing nature of work will present new challenges for the continuing development and relevance of goal setting theory. So there is a levels of explanation in goal setting. When Locke introduced the goal setting theory, it was presented as a relatively simple way to increase performance by recognizing a very human characteristic. The goal setting is the first level of explanation of behavior, where goals are seen as the most immediate antecedents to behavior. The second level of explanation of goal setting, they give the example of a person who has a goal to become CEO within 15 years of joining the company, a goal deriving from a motive of ambition. They invoke the notions of the person's personality. Persons are likely to set multiple and difficult goals, particularly when competing with others. And the third levels of explanation would be to investigate where the motive or values originate. So all of this describe an influence on action or behavior, but at increasingly higher levels. The notion of levels of explanation leads us to examine other current theories of work motivation. Control theories and concept of self-regulation. Control theory is based on principle of a feedback. The feedback loop is a goal-setting theory deals with discrepancy between actual goal accomplishment and the goal to which the individual is committed. Like for example, of feedback loop, the thermostat in your home. When the temperature increases, the thermometer reading rises and it reaches a set point. It signals to turn the heating system off. The system revolves around discrepancy in the case of the room temperature. The discrepancy is between the actual temperature of the room and the thermostat setting. And the other concept is self-regulation. This is compatible with control theory. Self-regulation means that individuals take in information about behavior and make adjustments based on that information, just as the thermostat takes in information and makes adjustments. These changes in turn affect subsequent behavior such as strategies, goal commitment. Thus, according to self-regulatory theory, one can increase both work motivation and work performance by engaging in strategies such as seeking feedback and engaging in constructive change.
The concept of self-efficacy in modern motivation theory. Self-efficacy is defined as the belief in one's capacity to perform a specific task or reach a specific goal. Self-efficacy is so central to goal-directed behavior and performance. It is reasonable to ask how it is developed and increased. Wood and Bandora suggest four separate avenues. Mastery experiences. Successful performance of challenging tasks strengthens beliefs in one's capabilities, whereas failures decrease those beliefs. Modeling. People have a tendency to compare their capabilities with those of others. Social persuasion. Individuals can be encouraged by others who express confidence in their ability to accomplish a difficult task. Psychological states. When people experience the symptoms of stress or fatigue, they tend to interpret this as an indication that the task exceeds their capabilities, thus reducing their feelings of efficacy. How can we put these approaches to work in increasing our self efficacy or the self efficacy of a friend or coworker? Consider the following possibilities. Number one, provide guidance or technical or logistic support to the individual, increasing the likelihood that he or she will experience success on a challenging task. Second, provide successful role models, perhaps by pairing an individual with a fellow worker of similar experience who has mastered a difficult task. 3. Be a targeted or cheerleader, emphasizing the individual's knowledge and ability. Number 4. Take steps to reduce stress in the individual's environment that is unrelated to challenging tasks. Common themes in modern motivation approaches. After examining the modern approaches to motivation theory, these are the common themes. First, intention plays a key role in motivated behavior. The most common form of that intention is a goal. Second, the concept of feedback is critical if we are to consider any but the simplest act at the one point in time. Third, the theory needs to include some element of the person as scientist. And fourth, the theory should include some concept of self-assessment. It is clear that individuals commonly take stock of where they are compared to where they want to be. Finally, there will be some non-cognitive element in the ultimate motivation theory. A new motivational topic. The entrepreneurial yearnings can appear very early in life. The research data on the precursors and correlates of entrepreneurial activity are relatively new and thus are still tentative at this point. Some models have been proposed and a great deal of speculative writing has appeared. Nevertheless, because the topic is intriguing, it is worth reviewing these preliminary findings and hypotheses compared to their less entrepreneurial colleagues, entrepreneurs. Recognize patterns of opportunity more easily and more quickly, both because of a deeper and broader knowledge of a certain industries or markets, and because of well-developed cognitive abilities. Are more socially skilled, a finding that has recently been extended to include Chinese entrepreneurs, are higher on self-efficacy and perseverance or persistence, are more likely to set goals related to starting a new business, are higher on achievement motivation, are higher on consciousness, emotional stability, extroversion, and openness to experience, are more passionate and tenacious in seeking entrepreneurial success, are more likely to be prone to downward biases in evaluating risk. We are often raised in the context of a family business and have higher levels of testosterone than the, than non-entrepreneurs. This self-efficacy, coupled with high levels of optimism, might just as easily lead to a business failure as a business success, particularly in unstable business environments. Fries and his colleagues suggest that teaching and reinforcing entrepreneurial behavior among small businesses owners may be one of the many steps that can be taken to reduce world poverty. Fries and his colleagues have proposed that a central personality characteristic underlying entrepreneurial behavior is entrepreneurial orientation. Fries and Fay see EO as a combination of achievement orientation, risk-taking orientation, and personal initiative.
Practical issue in work motivation. Can motivation be measured? Motivation can be measured by indicators such as the difficulty of goals accepted by an individual or the strength of a person's belief that the hard work will yield rewards. Recent researchers suggest that conscientiousness and emotional stability may be surrogate measures for general motivation levels. An instrument called the Motivational Trait Questionnaire provides a standardized method for measuring general performance motivation. Canfer and her colleagues have developed instrument wait instrument known as the Motivational Trait Questionnaire. The MTQ measures 6 distinct dimensions of what might be called general motivation. Dimensions and sample items for the Motivational Trait Questionnaire. First, desire to learn. The need to achieve by learning new skills or acquiring knowledge. Mastery. Personal goal setting and continued task improvement even when not required. Other reference goals. Tendency to compare performance to the performance of others. Competitiveness. A focus on competition and wanting to do better than coworkers or peers. Worry. Concerns about having one performance evaluated. Emotionally. Focus on the emotions of being evaluated in performance context. Cross-cultural issue. In motivation, Aries 1997 notes that across all cultures, managers tend to employ four types of motivational practices. First, differential distribution of rewards, rewarding high performers. Participation in goal setting and decision making, allowing subordinates to help make decisions. Third, design and redesign of jobs and organization, modifying task assigned and reporting relationship. Fourth, quality improvement interventions such as total quality management or TQM or quality circles focuses on subordinates on strategic objectives. Generational differences and work motivation. In most families, the behaviors and interests of children in music, dress, food, and attitude toward work differ substantially from the behaviors and interests of their parents. Given that culture is defined as a circumstance of shared values, generally generational differences can be construed as differences between cultures, much like the differences between nationalities. In much the same way, there is often seem to be differences in work values between workers and managers who are from a generation and those from a different generation. Generation X is defined as those born between 1961 and 1981, while Generation Y is generally defined as those born between 1980 and 1995. They are also known as millennials.
On 2002, Smolan and Sutton analyzed 362 responses. On 2002, Smolan and Sutton analyzed 362 responses to a work values questionnaire from employed individuals. Number one, are these generational differences between boomers and Gen X? Generation boomers are those who are born from 1946 to 1960, and again, the Generation X are those who are born from 1961 to 1980. The data seemed indicated that the answer to this question is yes. The younger employees appeared to be less loyal to the company and more me-oriented, wanted to be promoted more quickly, and more or less likely to consider work as a centerpiece of their lives. Surprisingly, the Gen Xers also appeared to feel more strong than bombers, that working hard made one a better person and one should work hard even if a supervisor is not around. Number two, are the work values of today workers different from those of 1974? Again, the data suggested that the answer is yes. Today workers, regardless of age, valued pride in work less than the workers of 1974. Today's workers were also less likely to be believed that work success should be equated to life success, that work should be center part of life, and that hard work makes one a better person. In general, it appeared that work was simply less important than it was 25 years ago. Number three, do work values change as workers grow older? Values do appear to change with age. In general, work becomes less idealized. As workers age, they appear to be less conceived that work is a center part of life, that hard work makes you a better person, or that workers need to feel a sense of pride in their work. Next. Next, please. Next. Thank you. Motivational interventions. Motivational interventions motivation motivation to make the individual work hard and better in their works. There are three specific types of interventions. Number one, contingent rewards, which is the behaviorism. Number two is job enrichment. And number three is feedback program. Contingent rewards. Lutans, Paul, and Baker provide an example of the application of behaviorism in work values or work behavior. They focused on the behavior of sales personnel in the department store. Rewards for these behaviors includes time off and cash bonuses. In a meta-analysis, Stajkovic and Lutans concluded that a combination of money, feedback, and social reinforcement has a very strong effect on a variety of task-related behaviors. Markham, Scott, and McKee showed similar effects for public recognition as a reward for reduced absenteeism. Next. Job enrichment. Job enrichment is the motivating and satisfying the individual workers from Moscow Curies' higher order needs, the love, esteem, and self-actualization. Skill variety, the number of skill required to perform tasks or jobs successfully. In other words, in other words, the skill variety is a wide range of skills, talents, and activities in performing the work. Task identity, the extent to which the task or job is self-contained with a clear beginning, middle, and end. Number three, task significance, the perceived importance of the job for the organization or society as a whole. In other words, task significance is the perceived their work as significantly impacting other peoples within or outside the organization. Autonomy, the extent to which the individual worker can control schedules, procedures, and the like. Autonomy gives the employee the freedom to work in a way that suits them. Task feedback, the extent to which the individual gets information from the task itself. Next. Job enrichment approach would not depend on cash bonuses and day offs to motivate the employees. Instead, the managers might engage in the following action for the sales position. Number one, provide sales personnel with computers to track customers' pattern, involves them in planning promotions and special sales. Number two, clarify exactly what the task and subtask of retail selling are in the organization, identifying sales cycle and distinction between sales and marketing. Number three, show the effect of the retail sales of one person on the department and store profitability and on organizational stability. Number four, provide sales personnel the opportunity to say in scheduling and particularly which of several alternative procedures might be used to make the sales. Number five, baba gamay. Provide computer-based feedback on a daily and weekly schedule regarding individual profitability, sales volume, and so on. Provide simple satisfaction with service form for customers to complete and encourage sales personnel to ask customers at the end of the transaction if he or she was satisfied with the transaction. Next. The promise system. Promise is productivity measurement and enhancement system. Promise system involves workers and managers in making detailed plans for productivity improvement. In other words, it focuses them on a productivity act, which will have a high likelihood of increasing overall unit performance. The promise system has been used by many organizations in many different countries. In result, the following conclusions were drawn. Number one, promise results in large improvement in productivity. Number two, the effects last for years. And number three, the effects can be seen in a wide range of organizations and countries. Next. That's it
So
for
I
our
think that's all for today. Thank you for listening, and I hope you understand something in our discussion. Thank you.